Where should we springboard after that? Into the end of the campaign, or?
Yeah, so I'll set it up. After that, Baron's shaman character dies and is replaced with the other character that he played at the beginning. You eventually get back to town. We're kind of settling down. A little before this battle happened, Xena's character met with our prince at the colony, his daughter?
Something, yeah.
Some little kid related to
Yeah,
him.
it was the daughter.
Okay, his daughter. And she has this book. It's essentially a book on how to murder people. Effectively. It's something a rogue would want. I mean, eventually Aegis learns of this book and is like, I'm not gonna let a child have this book. At all. Understandable. And he keeps the book. Eventually, I guess the little girl tells the guards, hey, I need that book back. The guards come out. They come after us, specifically, and want this book back. Aegis refuses to hand over the book. At that point, I think I'm going to turn it over to you. You remember this better.
Yeah, so...
This is how it all ended.
Alright, so the guards came in and ransacked our entire, we had this, complex.
Yeah.
Ransacked the entire complex looking for this book. And Aegis made it perfectly clear that no matter what happened, he was not giving that book up to that little kid. So, out of game, Bolgerval was like, well, you do realize that this is a noble, and what they say you have to do, blah, 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 blah. So, out of game, Aegis was like, I'm not doing that. My character would not be okay with this little girl having this book on how to freaking kill people. So, they come, tear apart all of our shit, and then Bolgerval's like, well, they're sending the paladins in after you. And Aegis was like, well, that's fine then. I guess I'm going to have to stand my ground and fight them until one of us dies. So, exactly that happens. Bolgerval, in my opinion, not wanting to lose, because I feel like that he treated this entire thing like an us versus him kind of deal.
Yeah.
Sent this massive chick paladin after us. I don't even remember her name.
Me neither.
Who had what he called double plate, which supposedly only existed in Anaria, but now it exists here now. Again, like I was saying, throwing the seeds in for other shit. But had an AC of 34 or something stupid. And mind you, this was one of the people that we brought to the island with us originally and were really good friends with. The characters had built a really good rapport with. And
the AC of 34, but the problem is you actually hit it a few times.
Yeah, I did, which was crazy. But anyway, so that all goes down, and to kind of undermine or kind of backtrack a little bit. So Aegis, his character, after he had that little transformation, everybody in town all of a sudden started treating him like shit. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Everybody was just a massive asshole to him, all of a sudden, out of nowhere. And his character was really likable by the rest of the town before he did the changeover. And then all of a sudden,
he went from a big dumb oaf to a smart dude.
Yeah, but he wasn't acting like a jerk to any of them or anything. He was just, he didn't say anything to him, and they'd treat him like crap all of a sudden. So, no, being treated like crap and stuff like that, and all these people wanting him to give this book of how to murder people to a kid, Aegis grabs the book and starts fighting this paladin. So my character turns into an eagle, I believe it was.
Something like that.
Scoops up Aegis and starts to fly away with it. And Bolgerval looks at me and goes, you do know if they do this that she's going to follow you, right? And I'm like, well, I guess if that's the way it has to work, that's the way it has to work. All of a sudden now this double plate has wings and it can fly now. Because,
Actually, no. That is something he did establish in the beginning. It's her specifically. She had this ability where she could fly. Yeah. We've seen it before, actually.
Oh, I didn't remember.
At one point.
I'm sure it was. But anyway, so, she's flying after us or whatever. And my character tries to stop her. Is hey, maybe we just don't let the kid have the book and we can call it good. Instead, Bolgerval's like, okay, well, you guys fight it out to the death. And I'm like, okay, I guess we fight it out to the death. So then afterwards, Bolgerval's all pissed off and mad. And is like, I can't believe you guys derailed my campaign like that. Blah, blah, blah. like sending us messages on Facebook, like just calling us out for derailing his entire campaign because Aegis's character act like his character would and would refuse to give up a book about how to murder to a kid. He was like, well, the whole plot revolved around your two characters. And I was like, well,
I'm not a fan. I'm still not a fan of how that was when that was revealed.
Yeah. So he's like, the entire campaign, that was the entire campaign. Just like that, you guys just wrecked the entire campaign. It's like, no, I tried to grab him and fly him out of there. I had no intentions on fighting the paladin. I even told the paladin that. I'm like, I have no intentions of fighting you. If you keep flying after me, I'm just going to keep flying away. So finally, it was like, well, after so long, you lose your beast form and you land on the ground and then you fight. I'm like, okay, whatever. That's what happened. So that was the end of that campaign because he asked us, he's like, well, do you guys want to make new characters? And me and A just kind of looked at each other like, you know what, we're going to take a break. We don't want to play anymore. So that was the moment where A just called it. A just was done.
I forgot. There was actually a campaign where you guys played.
Oh, yeah. I just saw what you wrote down.
Yeah,
that's going to be great. That's going to be great.
We'll do it next time, though. So
that's the end to it.
There's a few things. One thing actually kind of critical I forgot to mention while I was recapping the plot, and something that I'm just still really upset about. So in terms of plot, I forgot that after I did that wish that saved us, you turned evil.
I turned evil. I did.
Yes. And eventually, like, he described this gruesome scene where, like, your skin was coming off or something.
Yeah.
This is a little bit later after you turned evil. We're back in town. You're possessed by you're possessed by the big bad, actually.
Yep.
Your skin is peeling off. You're in a whole bunch of pain. It's eventually that same paladin character that comes in and rescues you.
Yep.
That, like, saves you. And then you find, like, some other gods and stuff. Really weird. Speaking of gods, now that I think about it, had I known that, I probably wouldn't have played. But, well, had I known this, I wouldn't have played. The entire campaign revolved around someone having a connection to the divine.
Yep.
And I have major problems with that. More than I think you may realize. So, of course, the question I ask when I realize that, what happens if no one picks, like, any divine connected character?
He forces it.
Okay. Second, I just realized that makes the rest of us useless.
It did.
That actually makes the rest of us useless.
Yep.
There's no point in us being there.
Right, exactly. And that's the way it kind of felt, too, towards the end. It was like, I'm
there for my best friend to get sacrificed.
Pretty much. So, like, yeah, and part of that was, like, a good exit for me because that was when I decided I had to take a break the following week for something. But he decided that, instead of, like, just being like, well, she goes off and does her own thing for a while. She's basically dead in front of your face. What do you do? And I was like, oh, okay. That's cool. I'm dead now. I don't know if I'm going to have to make... He never told me if I was going to have to make a new character or not the following week.
Yeah.
So... The whole thing was a shit show.
A quick question before I transition to the last thing. At what point in that campaign do you think it started to dive?
Honestly, like, and it probably differs between, like, me and other people. Just because, like, as a DM, I feel like it's my responsibility to make sure everybody's having a good time. I feel like it started to go downhill when he killed Baron's first character. Because Baron really wanted to play that character. He'd had that character super fleshed out, and he was killed by a spell that should have never been thrown at him at the level that we were. The spell insta-killed him. It instantly killed him. But he... with no chance of being revived, because we had no paladin or no clerics, nothing like that. We didn't have, like, somebody that had the divine powers to resurrect people. So, to me, that's when it started to go downhill. To me, when it like bottomed out, like when it dropped considerably, is I think when he like after we fought that dragon and he realized how powerful we actually are, you know, because it felt like at that point, like if you look at his face and just saw his face after everything was going down, you could tell he was mad.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. Like he always took it as a player versus DM thing as opposed to group storytelling. So whenever something like that would happen, it would make him upset, visually upset. Like not just like saying something in passing, but you could just look at his face and be like, this guy is pissed off. Like this guy's genuinely pissed off. Like anytime Jay would do something in the first campaign that would go against what beep wanted or beep wanted. Yeah. He's a bad person to play D&D with.
Yeah. All right. So I should probably end this. It's been quite a while, this entire session. For you guys, it'll probably be like some 30-minute chunks or something. But I remember at some point we were talking about the ages of Anaria. Talking about like the 9th age that never happened. I forget I should explain why that never happened. So I think it was like hot off the heels of the 8th age game. Yeah, the evil campaign. During that time, you were running a game, but also he was making it clear that he was gonna run a game. And he was like setting up, he was essentially giving us the premise and stuff for it. He wanted to make some big changes, and then he eventually listed off all those changes that he was gonna make. So it was like, first off, it's gonna be set in like something of a zombie apocalypse, sort of. I mean, it's not exactly a zombie apocalypse, but there's necromancers everywhere, dark magic everywhere. Evil things have taken over the world. There's certain types, a lot of the gods have like died. So if you were a cleric, you couldn't play a cleric. You actually couldn't play a paladin for some reason. That was weird. Because you don't have to have a god to be a paladin.
Technically, you don't have to have one to be a cleric in 5th edition either.
Oh, really?
No, they follow a domain.
Oh, okay. The arcane magic was like gone for some reason. So if you wanted to be anything arcane, even if it was something like an arcane trickster, you couldn't play it. It's already like, half the classes gone? There were also certain races you couldn't play. So something like a dragonborn, elves were gone. What was it?
Dwarves were gone too.
Yeah, the dwarves were gone. I think half-orcs were gone too.
Probably.
A lot of things were just gone. The only thing, if you would play magic, the only kind of magic you could have was nature magic. So druid. I think that's the only one with nature magic.
Yeah.
All right. Otherwise, you had to be a barbarian. You couldn't have totems. Fighter. Can't be an Eldritch Knight. Rogue. Can't be an arcane trickster. Things like that. Already we're like pretty limited. There's a few other things that were just so limiting. Oh, starting equipment was very limiting. Like we essentially got like a weapon and that was it. It was bad the way he was setting this up. All those things that we had or that we could not do. It was at that point I realized, this doesn't sound fun at all. I think. Oh, okay. I know what happened. I found out what that missing campaign was. We didn't have a campaign. That's why it's missing. We were having like board game nights. So you weren't there the day he introduced us, but Jay was. And Jay ran Cyrun.
Oh yeah, yep.
He was introduced. We were playing Cyrun, during this. Eventually, Bulgarval left early because he had to go do things. I don't know what he had to do. Yep, you know how it happens. You don't talk about the person while they're there. Well, I do. But not everybody is me. Not everybody is. We eventually talk about Bulgarval. We're saying all kinds of things. We eventually talk about how unfun this campaign is. And it's at that point I realized, oh, okay, everyone else has the same sentiment. Alright, so I'm not alone in this. I'm gonna confront Bulgarval about this campaign that he's trying to set up. Because I think he should change it. To his credit, it's kind of rude to call someone when he did say he was going to go sleep. It's kind of rude to call or like text someone at like the dead of night when you know they're trying to sleep. But I did it anyway. And I was like, hey, I think you should change this. A lot of people are agreeing. Not only are we not having fun now, we don't think this is going to be fun. You're taking away a whole bunch of stuff for the sake of story, and we don't like that. He flipped out. He raised all kind of hell. I wonder if I have it.
I remember you telling me about it. He was like, basically told you if you don't want to be there, don't come. And
yeah, a few minutes later, it was like a Facebook post going up like, looking for new players.
Yeah.
He was... I wonder if I have the text still. One thing I thought was kind of shady was like, I told him, hey, these are all my opinions. Don't go to anybody else with this because I'm the one you need to focus on. I'm the one who brought this to you. I'm the instigator. Well, like, the second text later, he's texting, like, pregnant lady and Aegis. Like, hey, what's going on? What the heck, dude? What the... Nah, I don't... Nah, it must have been on my old phone. Oh, well. I don't know what he sent to you guys, but...
I just pretty much, like, called and said, like, Jonas is mad at us mad at me because I want to change a bunch of stuff around, and he says it's not going to be very fun, and then he said that everybody else said it wasn't going to be fun, and so I'm just checking with everybody to make sure everybody's okay, and I still want to run it that way. If people don't want to play in it, that's fine. I'll just find a new group. And it's like, well, okay, then I guess you're just going to have to...
Find a new group.
No, I think everybody was just like, whatever, dude. Just whatever. Just let it roll. Yeah. And we didn't end up playing in that campaign, so it all worked out.
Yes. I think that was like the height of... Actually, I think that was when I started to realize, like, it might be time to leave.
Yeah, for sure.
I had hopes for like the new campaign that he was setting up. This is when he introduced the colonized campaign, and it's actually while he was working on that is when you went to the desert campaign. Mm-hmm. You'll hear more about James's campaigns next time, probably.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll
be a lot of fun.
That being said, is there anything specific to
Beep
as a DM that you wanted to end on? Before we wrap this up?
I'm sure you've heard me say this about 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else has probably heard me say this 1,000,000 times. I would never want to play with that guy again. I never want to DM for that guy again. I never want to play in a game that guy runs again. But the nice thing about D&D is there's a group for literally every single type of player. So I don't necessarily hope that he finds another group. I know that kind of sounds, like I'm throwing shade or whatever, but it's only for the fact that I hope they're not first-time players like the rest of you were, that you got kind of that negative experience right away.
Yeah.
That being said, I do think he will find a group because the nice thing about D&D is there's a group for everyone. But other than that, I mean, just don't be a douche and you'll be fine. But he's way past that, so he's. But I think we'll touch more on that next time as well.
All right. As always, I have been the only person to be on every single podcast, your audio engineer, the fakest of Namersons, the Man Manson. And that has been the up-and-coming boxer. That has been...
Taco Bell.
Sure. I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Yep.
I'm so sorry. Oh, no, we're calling him white guy?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll have too much of a problem with it.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I've told him he's like the whitest dude I know.
Yeah. I can see that.
You find like white in the dictionary, like there's a picture.
Just picture.
Alright.
Did you think it would last over 2 hours?
I didn't rule it out. I had a feeling it would be long, but I don't know if I thought it would be like this long. Alright. In 3, 2, 1.